everyone. This is Brittnee Bond, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to share with you some downloads that I have about feeling more connected in this world that is feeding off of our disconnection, and how do we create the reality that we want, that we're actually dreaming of, that maybe we're not even allowing ourselves to dream of because it feels so daunting to go after it and to allow ourselves to receive it. The thing that I always feel like I want to share with you in every podcast is that we deserve to feel connected. We are worthy of connection to ourselves, to our source connection, and to each other, and to the earth. And in today's world, it's easier to sell to us. We live in a consumer economy in the world today, and it's easier to sell to us if we feel like we are disconnected, if we feel like we are unworthy, if we feel confused about what we're meant to do in the world, if we feel scared. It's like basically everything in marketing today is trying to make us feel that we're in some sort of deficit in some way so that they can fill that hole with selling things to us. But it's sad because this has actually gotten into our psyche. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not blaming this on marketing or, big business today. I'm just saying that if you look at the reality of the world today, we are the most disconnected that we've ever been as a societies. And we feel like as a mass consciousness, as a world culture, people are very confused on what is up and what is down. We are in one of the most confusing timelines in the world today. And it is basically the most important thing that you can do is to stay in your center energetically. What does that mean? So for me, I think of it as, the chakra points that are if you think of yoga chakra points, your head, your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your sacral root, all of these things. There's more, but I'm forgetting them right now. The point is I imagine warm golden energy going down my body through these chakra points. And this is you staying in your center. Okay, so that's super esoteric. Let's break this down into practical. So what does that mean to stay in your center in a world where everything is out of place and everything is upside down? We're in if you ever seen the show Stranger Things in the first season, there's a part of the show where the kids go into what they call the upside down world, where literally everything's the opposite of what it is in the normal world. That's how I feel our culture is today. It's nothing really makes sense. So how do you stay in your center in a world where things don't make sense and where things are very loud and everyone's in fear and blah, 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 right? Darkness everywhere energetically. First off, I invite you to recognize and honor that you are a sovereign being. You have the ability to create whatever life that you want today. Literally, through your belief system, you can wake up today and decide, I do not want this life. I deserve something better. I'm going to go out and get that. I'm saying this from personal experience. So you can be yeah, whatever, Brittnee's just going blah, blah. But I'm telling you that I grew up in what I would consider a religious cult. I got married at 18 because I had this deep programming that this is what I had to do. And then even when I wanted to get divorced after 1 year of marriage, I was told by everyone around me that, nope, you're married for the rest of your life and into the afterlife. You have chosen this at 18 years old, 17 years old when I got engaged. You have to stay with this for eternity. And I did for 5 more years. And then I was I woke up one day and I was I can't do this anymore. I literally felt I was having suicidal ideation. It's where you fantasize about killing yourself, because I was living so out of alignment and so out of my center. And then I decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. I deserve better than this. I'm going to choose a reality and create a reality and build a reality that matches the standards of what I choose to receive in my life and what I choose to live and be. And then I went out and I did it. And you can too. I'm literally here as a living example that if you're looking around your surroundings right now and you don't like your job, or you don't like where you live, or you don't like your partner, or you don't like yourself, you're realizing you want to be a better person, you can change all of these things. You can create the life that you so desire. And the best way to figure out what that life is to start connecting to yourself more and to start cutting out outside noise. So a lot of you like have a hard time being on your own and being in your own energy, because this is when the self-doubts start creeping in. This is when the anxiety starts creeping in. And this is what I'm trying to say, is that the world is feeding off of you being out of your center and being disconnected from yourself. But the feeling of being disconnected from yourself can give you such big anxiety, because it's so unnatural for us to be disconnected from ourselves, that we can spend a lot of time distracting ourselves on social media. You're just like doing things, like being busy in the world, you know? But it's like you kind of have to stop everything in order to reconnect to yourself. And that moment of slowing down and stopping everything can feel really uncomfortable. It's super uncomfortable. But when you do that and you figure out, okay, what do I need in order to, and there's so many tools. There's psychedelics, there's Vipassana, which is like a silent meditation retreat. There's going into the jungle and just being in nature. Being in nature is one of the biggest ways that you can connect to yourself, because we are literally living nature. We are literally nature. We are part of nature. So when we're out there connecting to nature, it is one of the biggest ways we can connect to ourselves. There's so many, like here on this island is like a playground of ways that you can connect yourselves. There's also connecting to others is a beautiful way to connect to yourself. Like this is why Tantra is a really big deal. Like Tantra is figuring out how to move the energy through your body and get in your center energetically. And then through those exercises, you can also connect to other people more authentically. So that is a beautiful way to connect yourself and come home to yourself. And then also learn tools to connect to other people. And I'm talking about Tantra that is not, I'm not talking about sexual Tantra. I'm just talking, Tantra is 90%, has nothing to do with sexuality. There is something in the world today called Neo-Tantra. And this is what is the 10% that is related to sexuality with Tantra. And this is what's been publicized, especially on this island of Koh Phangan. But I just want you to know that Tantra in general has nothing to do with sexuality. It has everything to do with moving the energy through your body and getting in your center energetically. So, I mean, the reason why I'm sharing all of this with you is I feel like so many of us really want to feel connected to ourselves, connected to our source connection, which is the universe, God, your soul, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. It's literally all the same thing. You can disagree with that. I don't care. But for me, it's all the same thing. So that's why I use all the words, because for me, it's basically like there is something bigger than us out there. And we chose to come down here and have this temporary experience of feeling disconnected and separated in order for us to learn everything that we can learn, and also prove that we are these really strong, brave souls that came down here into a very dense, energetic reality and chose love and chose the vibration of, like I'm going to be someone who is shining my light in the world despite all of this darkness. And I'm going to choose to be a loving person and choose to be connected to myself and to the people that I love and to the earth, and to take responsibility for myself and for the people that I love and for the earth and for the animals, like to care. Do you know how important it is to care about things today, like to care about yourself and to care about each other? Do you realize like how important this is? This is what's actually going to keep us going as a culture. This is what's going to save humanity, is if all of us choose in our own way to take responsibility for ourselves and for each other and for the earth, and to care about things and to do something. I am here to activate you that you have the power, you have the responsibility to take care of yourself and to take care of the people that you love and to take care of the earth that you're in connection with around you. So like there were, I'll give you an example. There's like these really big trees here on the island that are, you can see it in the reflection here. Like you see this? If you're looking on the video, this is a Mother Earth tree here. Like here's the display. So this tree is actually very tall. This is like I am looking at it now. It's probably like 10 or 15 floors tall. It's what we call like the big mama trees on the island, and there was like there's these used to cover the whole island here on Kopanang, and they're like when you think of like Avatar and like you think of the trees that they're all like living in, like this is that kind of tree. It's like this big mama earth tree, and these ones can't be there's something called like trans I'm going to say the name wrong, but it's basically like when you cut off a piece of a branch and like transplanting, where you like cut off a piece of a branch of a tree and then you like replant it somewhere else. You can't do that with these trees. So you have to, they only can grow from seeds, and it takes them about like hundreds of years to grow. They were about to cut one of these down, like on the road going into the main town here. It had a big X on the trunk, and like me and everyone else in my community that cares about the nature around us started freaking out. We were like, we were messaging the Thai people in the community that are in charge of these things, and they were basically going to make like a new bridge, and they were just like, yep, this tree needs to go. And like the Thai people here, they have lived for all of their history in so immersed in nature that they don't understand what it's like to live without nature. And so they don't know that when you cut down these trees, they don't necessarily come back. Whereas a lot of us are in Western cultures, we have through our life and just through a more broader worldview understood that like nature is limited resource, you know, we need to protect it. But here they just don't have that in their consciousness so much. So anyways, we worked together and we talked to the locals, and we ended up getting the tree saved. So they ended up moving the whole bridge to go around it, which was amazing. And it had a red X like spray painted on it, and someone went back and like turned that X into a red heart. So now there's a red heart. So if you ever see that on the island here when you're driving from Sholokloman to Changsela, you see that tree, you understand the story behind it now. But for me, that is the taking responsibility for the nature around you. And the thing is, I think so many of us are worried about caring because, one, we're worried about like, will it be reciprocated? Will it be reciprocated, or will it be, basically, is it energy well spent? And I want to tell you some stories around masculine and feminine energy in this specific way, because it is always energy well spent. It is always important to care, because we are literally healing each other and amplifying our energy and becoming more of our authentic selves the more that we care, because we're literally sharing the energy with each other back and forth in a way that's amplifying and expanding. And as souls, we are here to grow our consciousness. And what better way to grow our consciousness than through caring about each other and through growing as a people through love and connection. So I'll give you some examples about this, like when it comes to the masculine and feminine energy. So, you know, a lot of us today in the world today are like, what does it mean to be in a healthy relationship? I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means to like to show up as a woman in my feminine in a relationship. And what does it mean to show up as a man in my masculine? And again, I think this point of like, am I caring too much? Afro started barking. Okay, we're back. So in today's world, I want to share some stories with you. So like I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he was sharing about how like he's so used to being the provider in the relationship with the women that he cares about, but he had a very hard time allowing himself to receive the energy of care from the feminine. So like there was these women that loved him in the past, he was in a relationship with, and they wanted to show up for him in an emotional way and actually like take the lead and like allowing him to have a safe space and a safe container to be vulnerable. And he had such strong programming that it was like, you know, unsafe to receive this care in this way, and unsafe to receive this containment of like a safe space to like drop into. Basically, he was worried about being seen as weak or vulnerable around the women that he cared about. Even though they weren't necessarily like saying that they were encouraging him to be vulnerable and to share feelings. And they thought it was like it made him a strong man in order to do this. Like it was a marker of a man in his power, or if he felt safe to be vulnerable and share his feelings. So I asked him, I said, like, why is that the case? And he was like, well, you know, I I grew up in a very large family, and I don't think I really received like the mothering care or like the care from the feminine in the way that I really craved as a child. And so when I was receiving this from even the women in my life that I cared about, and I know they really cared about me, he's like, I just didn't feel like it was safe. I felt like I had to just keep giving, 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 and like basically being a man meant like not being vulnerable and not having moments where you're also down and you need support. And I was like, oh, this is super interesting. So how did you, like, what happened now and next? And he was like, well, I did ayahuasca. And I was like, okay, so what happened in ayahuasca? And he was like, I, um, I felt, I felt like such strong mothering energy from the universe. And he was like, and I realized, wow, this is what I've been missing in my life. Like I really needed this like feminine energy to feel more complete and more safe and more nourished, like it gave him a lot of energy in his life in order to receive this. And then he said after that I felt safer to receive this from the feminine in my life, because he's like, I had this kind of like vibrational marker of like, oh, it's safe and this is what it feels like when I allow myself to receive it. Because it basically, like on ayahuasca, he didn't have a choice. It was just like pouring into him, and then he could feel like how beautiful it was to feel this connection to the feminine and to receive this energy from the feminine. And then he said that now he just allows this in. And I was like, but is it, I really wanted to clarify this with him. I was like, so are you basically saying that the women in your life now are mothering you? Like, are you wanting them to be your mom? And he said, no. I really enjoy being in my masculine and being the protector and the provider. And like probably like 95% of the time, I'm the one holding the container and like energetically making sure everything's okay and all this stuff. It's just that when he needs it and when he wants to receive this energy from the feminine, he's basically saying it was like, he's like, I just allowed this connection of this feminine energy into his life, and also allowed in like, the feminine softness and the nurturing and the, like the, are you okay? And how are you feeling in your body? And like, let me take care of this for you. Let me cook something for you. Just kind of like this yummy, feminine, soft energy into his life. And I can tell, like, because since he started dating this girl, I was like, wow, you've gotten more soft, because like I've known him for a while. And in the past, he was so structured. He's very German. He was very structured in his reality of like how everything was felt very black and white in his reality. And now I can feel that he's more soft because he's allowing this feminine energy into his life. And he's still, of course, like very in his masculine and very into getting things done. But there is a flexibility in it. And it makes him seem more cool to me, because I'm like, okay, you're just more chill, you're not as like uptight. Because I used to joke with him, like, kind of like he needed to relax, It's weird. There's a helicopter going by, which is very unusual here on this island. So I asked this friend, I was like, what does it mean for you to be in your masculine energy? Like when you like a woman, what do you do? Or like, how does it show up for you? And he was like, when I like a woman, I just want to do everything for her. I just like want to make her life better. I want to use my physical energy, my masculine energy, to go out and like, think of things that she likes and organize things for her and like check on her and basically like create this beautiful container for her to just unfold into her softness. Because he was like, when she is in that soft place where, she's feeling taken care of and she's feeling safe, then I'm able to receive that feminine energy. And he's like, and I'm not doing it just to receive that feminine energy. He was saying that when he is in this masculine energy of like, I want to take care of you and provide for you and just make sure you feel good, he's like, I get so much energy by doing that, like using my energy to make the people I love's lives better. Like he was like, that just like fuels me for days. Just the idea that like me doing something in the world made the people I love's lives better. Like that. He was like, and I was like, yeah, because it basically is saying like, as a man, like your life matters because you're showing up for the people that you love and you're making their lives like your dreams come true. Like how better of a reality is it than for a man to be like, I used my energy in the world to make the people that I love's lives so much better. and like made their dreams come true. And I took care of them. I took responsibility for them, and I used my energy to like protect and provide for them. As a man, that gives you more energy. So it's really funny because, you know, like, oh, I'm a woman saying this. So, you know, a lot of men could listen to this and be like, oh yeah, she just wants men to do things for her. But I'm telling you, I coach men on this, and they tell me that irregardless of, you know, the outcome of like, you know, whether, you know, say you're doing this for someone that you're dating. So it doesn't really even matter if the dating process works out where you end up being with that person forever. I'm talking about the actual act of using your energy in the moment where it feels organic and you feel like you want to do it for the people that you love or the people that you care about or the woman that you're dating, where you're just like literally thinking of her and thinking of ways to make her life better and taking action on making her life better. These men tell me that they just feel more like a man when they're doing this. So it's like, yes, of course, it feels amazing when you're appreciated in this and when you receive love and affection and admiration and respect in response to being this kind of beautiful man in someone's life. But just the act of doing it itself is already kind of complete. You already get the energy that you need just by going out and doing the thing that you're meant to do. I'm not saying like meant to do, like this is your soul mission. I'm just saying that like from an energetic standpoint, this is what I have seen, and this is what men have told me has like made them feel more like a man. And I find this, to go back to what I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast, is I find this really interesting in the world today, because in the world today, we are super hyper individualistic, where we're encouraged to only think of ourselves and to not think of each other. And it's almost like sometimes I see in some men who don't understand this concept is like they feel like it's a threat to like take responsibility for the people that they love or to like take care of the people that they love, because they feel like somehow it's going to encroach on their own freedom, or somehow it's going to have a negative impact on themselves. Like basically they're sacrificing themselves in order to show up for someone else. And of course, like if you need to get your baseline, like, you know, survival needs met and you need to like take care of yourself, that's great. Like go for that, do that thing, like whatever you need to do, like make the money for yourself and all this stuff. But once you have like a stable foundation for yourself, you will start seeing very quickly that life becomes more meaningful. I'll just put it this way, is more meaningful, and it takes on more color and more brightness when you're using your energy to protect and provide for the people that you love. And I just invite you to go try it. You know, like if you're a man listening to this, like go out there and like pick, like it could be your mom, your sister, the woman that you love, and like start doing things for them. Start making their lives better. And this could be small things, just like buying them flowers or messaging them and calling them and asking them how they're feeling and how are you feeling in your body? Do you know how amazing this is to receive from a woman? Like for a woman to receive this question, how are you feeling in your body right now? This is like sometimes for me the equivalent of someone buying me flowers. I'm like, this makes me feel so yummy in my body. Thank you for caring about me enough to like ask me this question. And like literally physically doing things for them where they're like, you know, something was broken on my bike the other day, and a guy friend of mine came over and just like took care of the whole thing for me, just fixed everything, you know, got the battery replaced, got the tires checked, everything. And I was just like, thank you so much. You know, like yesterday I was having a moment the other day where I was just like feeling a little down about some stuff. And then a guy friend of mine was receiving this from me. And then he was like, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to come over and I'm just going to bring you a matcha and we're going to go over all your online content and I'm going to help you get your stuff organized. And I was like, thank you so much. And he came over yesterday for like 2 or 3 hours and we just like brainstormed a bunch of stuff. And it just made me feel so good, because it was like he was using, and he didn't, you know, he's a friend of mine. This man that came over yesterday, he's a friend of mine. We're not romantic in any way. And he's just using his masculine energy to show up for me and to help focus me and organize me and create this container where I feel safe to unfold and create beautiful things in the world and, you know, show up in my life in a way where I feel more in my feminine energy. And this makes me feel so good. And I shared this with him like, wow, thank you so much. You made my life better. Like you used your energy to create a better world for me. And that is really beautiful. And for all of you women who are listening to this, you know, the thing that you can do to show up for men is to really honor them when they are showing up for you, and to thank them, and to share your, you know, I think a lot of us women, we have a hard time receiving from men. So like a lot of times, like I'm telling this to the men and then they're like, I go out and do this. And the woman's like, what do you want from me? Do you expect something from me? Like, are you trying to sleep with me? And it's like, what if they just wanted to show up for you? Like this guy yesterday, like I could have been like, what do you want? You know, but I was like, no, he's just a friend of mine that wants to help me. This is like what men do in my life. This is my standard. So thank you. You know, I'm really grateful for you in my life. And so as a woman, I really activate you and inspire you to receive and to allow yourself to be in your soft place, you know? Like I wouldn't have had the situation yesterday where my friend showed up for me if it wasn't for the day before where I was sharing with him about, I was really vulnerable with what was going on for me, and I started crying, and I was just like, yeah, this is just how I'm feeling, you know? And then he was like, I want to show up for you. I want to be there for you. So like, I'm not saying you need to go around crying to people. I'm just saying that me being in my vulnerable place and just being in my softness activated a male friend in my life to show up for me. And then I really appreciated him. So like the energy exchange is like, you know, women, when we're in our soft place and then we're sharing from this vulnerable place of like, this is where I'm at and this is what I need help with. It's very activating for the men in our lives to want to show up for us. You know, they love us. They want to make our lives better. And then to allow ourselves to receive that with appreciation and gratefulness and trust that they're doing it for the right reasons, and trust that they actually have our backs and have our best interests at heart. And you know, like I would say too that as a woman, like this is something that I feel that a lot of us women could work on. I'm just putting this out there because I think a lot of men need this, especially the ones that I'm coaching. Is just a safe space for them to actually share their feelings where they don't feel judged for that. So there's a lot of us women say that, you know, we want the men to be more emotionally connected to us, and we want them to be able to, you know, host us in our feelings. But, you know, they're only going to be able to host us for as far as they have hosted themselves. So basically, like, there's this saying where it's like someone can only meet you as deep as they've met themselves. So like, you know, if you're in a super vulnerable space, but someone is not comfortable with themselves being vulnerable, they're not going to be comfortable with you being vulnerable. So say you're crying about something and like a guy is like not used to himself even crying, and it makes him really uncomfortable. And so then he's going to try and just make it so you stop crying because he's just not used to people crying. So a lot of women complain. I've complained about this in past relationships where like I felt like the man was just trying to fix me instead of host me in my emotions. The thing is that men need safe spaces for them to grow their emotional intelligence. So a lot of us women culturally, it's like okay for us to cry as kids. It's okay for us to have our feelings, even if it's blamed on us being on our period or whatever. It's like, at least we had these safe spaces to really emote and to share our feelings. And a lot of men have never had a safe space for that. So yeah, I will say two things. One, if you're in a relationship with a man, I think it's a really beautiful thing to create a container where you're each sharing. Like maybe you put on a timer and you each have the opportunity of uninterrupted sharing time of your emotions that day or that week. So say you're doing it like once a week, you could each have like 5 to 10 minutes where you're just like, put a timer on. You're like, this is how I'm feeling about everything. I just want to share this with you. I actually recommend doing it like daily because shorter times are better and you can get more, you know, like live snapshot of where you are right now, you know? And I think us women, we just naturally do this to the men in our life. We're like, this is how I feel and this is what's happening. And like, you know, there isn't really a space for men to, like, I don't think men naturally just jump in with how they're feeling unless they're Cancer men who are Cancers. But I would say that in general, most men don't really feel that it's a safe space. They're like just used to us doing that and they're used to kind of receiving it. But I don't think they're used to them being like, and this is how I feel about this thing. So we could create a more safe container as the woman by being like, hey, I want to put a timer on and I just want to hear you out. Like, how are you feeling? What's going on? Like, I want to be here for you. And then the second thing I wanted to say is, like, if you're a woman and you have male friends in your life, I really, really, really invite you to create safe spaces for them to share their feelings with you, because they're basically practicing with you so that whenever they're in a relationship, if they're not in one right now, or even if they're in one right now, it's just like such a support. So if they're not in a relationship, you're basically practicing with them on how to share their emotions so that when they get into a relationship with a woman, they feel safe to do that. Like, they have practice. They've built the tools in order to share their emotions. For a lot of men, because they've never had a safe space to share their emotions, it literally feels like they're getting put on stage to be the star in a play and everyone's staring at them and no one told them the lines. It's like this feeling of like, like you went to school, like these dreams that you have, we've all had growing up, at least most of us I've talked to, where you wake up and you're at school and you forgot to put your pants on or something. Like, this is how it feels for most men when they're like, they feel like put on the spot to share their emotions and they've never been given the tools on how to do that. And so us women, we can create safe spaces for them to feel safe to, like, connect to their bodies, connect to their emotions. So if you're a woman and you have male friends, what I recommend you doing is being like, when you're one-on-one with them, just being like, hey, I want to create more of a safe space for you to share your feelings with me. And if they're like, okay, well, I don't know what that means. And because you kind of have to, as a woman, you kind of have to lead on this, right? Because they're not going to have the tools. So what you can do is you can do the same thing where you're like, I just want to put a timer on and I just want to hear you out for 5 minutes of like how you're feeling. And then they might be like, okay, well, I don't really know what to do. And then you can be like, okay, here's the timer's on. Then, just close your eyes, take some deep breaths, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Really ask yourself to connect, ask your body to connect to yourself. And then just notice whatever sensations are going through your body right now. And they might get in their head and be like, I don't know. And it's like, it's okay. Even if nothing comes up the first time, a lot of times it's so blocked. Like the connection between their head and their body is so blocked. But just this exercise will start unblocking things. And then you can, if they can't connect to their body in that moment, it's okay. And just say like, okay, well, just even from your head perspective, how are you feeling? Like, even if they're intellectualizing it, just getting them to have this safe space where it's like normalized to share their feelings. And it can be positive feelings, it can be negative feelings, it can be confused. It doesn't matter what they are. It's just, feelings are just energy going through our body. And this is part of being human, is to honor the energy and the emotions, because they're all trying to tell us something. Just like when you have a headache, it's like trying to tell you something. Either you're stressed out or you need to drink some water. It's whatever. Our bodies are always talking to us. So feelings are also our bodies talking to us when we can take the time to, host them and honor them. And sometimes they don't need to be taken very seriously. They're just like something that's coming through and they just wants to be honored and felt, and then it goes away. Okay, so I did not mean to talk about all this stuff in this podcast, but it's great. I just decided I'm going to put on more of the podcast and see what comes through, because I really view all of you as my community. I told you, some of you are my close friends who listen to this. Some of you are people I do not know, but I still feel very, if you are listening to this podcast, you are a very special person. You are meant to be listening to this. And if you feel that someone else in the world needs to listen to one of these podcasts, please send it to them, because I am just here channeling from the universe to share with all of you. Like, my mission here is that it's not about me at all. It's about all of us feeling more connected to our bodies, connected to each other, and connected to the earth. That is my mission. And I will keep showing up to share this mission with you and to give you tools on how to connect to yourselves, how to connect to each other, how to connect to the earth, and to keep activating you that we all have this power. We all have a sovereignty. Sovereignty means personal power to connect to ourselves and to our source connection, and to take responsibility for doing the things in our lives that make the world a better place and make ourselves feel better in our bodies. We all have the power to create whatever reality we choose. So go out there today and smile at someone. Go out there today and make conversation with a stranger. Go out there today and share what you're grateful for with the people that you love. Appreciate them. Put positive energy into the world and it will come back to you. If every single person did this, the world would be such a better place. You know, here on the island, I know that I've been off the island for a while. When I come back, and I'm surprised when I'm driving around, people are smiling at each other on their scooters. So we all drive scooters here, right? It's a very normal thing on this island to have for all of us to be smiling at each other when we drive by. Even if you don't know the person, you're just like smiling. One, because we live on a tropical island, and two, because why not? And I notice when I go out in the world, and I'm just naturally smiling at everyone all the time, and I go out in the world and people are like, they give me this like shocked face, like, oh, why is she smiling at me? What does it mean? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, or this could just be the normal thing that we all do, you know? So I invite you to go out there and shock some people with your happiness and with your kindness, and to share this beautiful energy with the world. Okay, I'm signing off. I'm going to go to the gym and hang out with some of my friends. I hope you guys all have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next episode.